Rolex is one of the most prestigious and sought-after watchmakers in the world. Since its inception in 1905, Rolex has expanded to become the world's preeminent producer of timepieces that bear the Swiss official chronometer's seal of approval. Rolex timepieces, especially the Daytona and Submariner models, are universally regarded as the epitome of sophistication and class. Owning a Rolex is much more than just a symbol of wealth and success. As time passes, their worth usually increases rather than decreases. The ideal watch serves its purpose while also making a fashion or functional statement, and this is something Rolex watches can certainly do. They never go out of fashion and always look great while remaining durable. That is why today, we're going to look at the 10 most recognizable Rolex timepieces in history. Welcome to Lux Live, and when it comes to luxury and lifestyle, we've got you covered. But before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's begin. The Oyster. There were earlier attempts to waterproof a finished wristwatch, but the public didn't have access to such a device until Rolex released the Oyster in 1926. While on display to the public in a fish tank, the Oyster maintained accurate timekeeping. A screwed-in crystal, a threaded bezel that screws onto the case back, and a screwed-down crown all contribute to the Oyster's newfound water resistance. The fluted design of the original screwed-on bezel is still an integral component of contemporary Rolexes. The Datejust. In the early 1900s, the first timepieces with a built-in date mechanism emerged. The date display on the Datejust changes nearly instantaneously at midnight, even if it takes several hours to spin the date wheel. This is a brand new function and has been very well received by users. Everyone recognizes this watch, even if it has evolved significantly over the years. It is impossible to argue with the assertion that the Datejust's distinctive fluted bezel and large date window magnifier are the most instantly recognizable features of any wristwatch. The Oyster Perpetual. It wasn't until 1950 that the now iconic Oyster Perpetual appeared on store shelves. Oysters denote water resistance, and perpetual means the watch winds itself. They were known as bubble-back watches due to the depth of their cases. Its perpetual rotor oscillates in both directions, much like the rotors of bumper watches, which are stopped by a spring. Its robust mainspring provided roughly 35 hours of reserve power, which is good even for modern mechanical auto-winding movements, even though the mechanism could only wind in one way. The Submariner. The timepiece was inspired by the self-winding, water-resistant Rolex Oyster Perpetual, but the Submariner stood out because of its enhanced gasket system and rotating timing bezel, both of which are necessary for scuba diving. The 1980s saw Rolex produce two-tone and solid gold subs for a new demographic of consumers, joining yacht clubs and accessorizing their tool watches with preppy attire. By the turn of the millennium, no diver worth his or her salt was still using a mechanical watch. The rest is history. The demand for the sub has only increased in recent years. The GMT Master. Most commercial pilots in the 1950s had served in armed forces during World War II, when they were held in high esteem as heroes of the sky. The GMT Master shot to fame among world travelers who looked up to these pilots. However, until the tool watch craze of the 60s, the technology was out of reach for the masses. In 1989, the watch received a new movement and a slimmer casing. The third generation of GMT Masters was introduced in 2007 with ceramic bezels and a significantly upgraded movement with a suite of the latest enhancements. Which of these is your favorite Rolex watch? Let us know in the comments below. The Milgauss. It's a shame that the 20th century achievements of engineers and scientists are not universally celebrated as heroic. Doing so would improve our assessment of the Rolex Milgauss. Those risk-takers focused on obtaining a magnetic wristwatch were isolated in isolated labs. The government awarded subsidies and contracts to support the research, but they avoided public recognition. The Milgauss was a technological miracle that went unnoticed in its day. Its name comes from the first letter of magnetic and means 1,000 Gausses. The Daytona. Aside from the fact that it was a watch, the word Daytona was the only noteworthy feature. Rolex has used non-Rolex chronograph movements in their signature Oyster casings since the 1940s. Their larger, more advanced chronograph with stick hands first appeared in the early 1960s. Rolex became a sponsor of races at the Daytona International Speedway in 1962. In the next year, they immortalized the word on their cosmograph chronograph. Daytonas weren't exactly budget-friendly back then, with prices hovering at about $400. It wasn't until 2017 that the record for the sale price of a timepiece was broken when Paul Newman's Daytona brought in $17.2 million. The DayDate, also known as the Precedent, the DayDate was the first automatic watch to feature a watertight chronometer rating and the ability to read the day and date. At the top of the clock, the day of the week was entirely displayed. This may not seem significant now, but it was a major breakthrough. Most U.S. presidents wore it, making it the most popular model of presidential watch. The President's bracelet is stunning, with its 5 rows of crowned links capture and reflect light from all directions. The Sea Dweller. This timepiece was designed for deep extended dives by commercial divers, explorers, and researchers. The ability to maintain atmospheric pressure to a depth of 4,000 feet wasn't a joke in 1967. The Sea Dweller's water resistance was upgraded to 12,800 feet in 2007 and held the record for the deepest moving watch for some time. This timepiece is only one example of Rolex's dedication to the many scientific initiatives it supports. The technology developed for tiny waterproof wristwatches has proven to be a useful tool. The Sky Dweller. Finding a Rolex with as much confidence and strength as this one is hard. The Oyster Case Caliber 9002 contains one of the most ingenious complications in contemporary timepieces. It has a regular date window and 12 markings around the dial that indicate the month for a more complex annual calendar. Getting the ideal Rolex model is important. If you make the investment, the right watch for you is the one that complements your personal taste, your bank account, and your lifestyle. For first-time Rolex consumers, deciding which model to purchase can be difficult, so a guide like this can help a lot. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, click subscribe, and hit the notification bell to receive updates in our latest videos. Also, feel free to leave us a comment if you want to watch more videos. Head on over to our channel to see more from Lux Live. See you!